coming upstairs with this, mostly because actually today the radio was on with some heavier music, not metal. I'm totally fine with it not being metal, but heavier music. And I just wanted to do this where the art isn't too distracting. Maybe I'll just do this in the other room for a moment here. Haven't done one in here for a little while. But it's as good a place as any. And I want to get back downstairs, make sure the dog's not getting into anything as the puppy that he is, and just do stuff. But I'm having a lovely day, and I hope you are too. Got an errand done. I got myself a fairly decent lunch, maybe a little bit overpriced, but not bad. But this morning, it came to my mind again, and I think because I typed a reminder and I came across it. It came to my mind again, and I wanted to share an example of of coughing. I'm just kidding. Of jealousy and acceptance. And it's interesting. Like I'm a deep thinker, and I do try and kind of grow with things that are sometimes and certainly sometimes we shouldn't have to, and it makes no sense, and we deserve better, and we got to be good to each other, and I'm thankful that pretty much people are, but basically the one thing which I almost forgot a moment ago, so I don't want to forget it, so I'll say it, is that being a musician, I guess this would have been last summer, or maybe the summer before, but I think last summer. I had wanted to try and get a patio gig. And I guess I was a little behind the 8 ball. I thought, okay, the season's here now, but they book ahead of it. And so welcome. I've just started. Glad to have you here. Curious if you've been to the channel before, how you came across it, and you left. But anyway, and it's kind of an odd business, an odd restaurant. Like the patio and stuff. The patio is in the front of the restaurant. I've not tried very often, but the couple times I have, other than like it's easy enough to get onto the patio. I don't know where the entrance to the restaurant is, and I know that sounds weird, and also I'm just going to quickly get something from the other room. And also, now I don't know. I put myself on a cancellation standby list and never heard anything back. And part of me thinks no one canceled, and part of me thinks that's not very likely. So, but today it crossed my mind. Even though we're kind of heading out of patio season for this time of year, it's actually still pretty nice where I'm at. Even though we're kind of heading out of patio season, it crossed. I think the reason was, I'll never forget, somebody recognized me from there once, and I'd only been there the once for like less than an hour, and there was a band playing, and I almost wonder if she knew my friend, and that's why she made the connection, and it stuck with her, because it was about a year or two later. But I was looking for places for lunch, and I think that's why I thought I had looked at this place. The friend who was performing there on that particular time actually was a former bandmate and former friend, and their relative that I first met and knew the longest, probably one of my longest friendships, outside of like my school days maybe, and even maybe then, because I was only in each while I was in grade school, but 5 years, and then high school 4 years, I think. And the only reason I was in grade school, well, even still, that I guess they're just different. I was only in grade school. I started in grade 4. I skipped grade 3. So anyway, one of my longest friends, and he passed away 2022, I think, and then his mother at 104 years old this year, a few months ago. Glad to have you both here, by the way. Well, okay, you both left. Anyway, I know I'm talking about death again, but really I'm not. And if anybody hears that for the first time and wonders, I mean, I um, have shared about NDEs. I've talked about beliefs of the afterlife on this channel. Um, I talk about grief, of our loved ones. So, anywho, but yeah, so basically, I was annoyed that we didn't get this opportunity, and another one which may have been a little less. Well, doesn't have the same details, and maybe I still feel the mixed feelings a little bit more about this one, um, because it seemed like a really nice patio deck, and it was near kind of two busy streets, but the busiest one it was a little further from. Basically, sorry, just getting lotion everywhere here. Basically, um, what helped, like, it's interesting because a while ago I realized that, maybe the traffic would have been too noisy around there. I am going to bring this downstairs, I think, though, just because, well, I'm almost finished, I think, unless somebody tunes in and starts chatting. um, I just don't know. I'm a little bit worried. Just a moment here. I'm a bit distracted. Oh, right, the radio, that's why. But I did give him anyway, I'll be quick. It's nice when I can stay and chat, and technically I don't have a whole lot else going on. I'm just doing a few other things online and stuff. But anyway, basically what helped, though, for me with this example anyway, to try and look at some stuff that you're going through maybe in a similar way. I know they'll be different likely, but was, and this would be the case with a lot of patios, to be honest. And again, we're again know those that season now, but was the fact of the noise level, not only on the patio, but the traffic going by. And I thought that would be distracting. It would remind me of when I had my whooshing tinnitus, um, you know, and it would just, be harder to hear us and such and such. Um, Also, it may have been a bit distracting thinking about those individuals that I mentioned. Um, and as special as it would be to get a gig there, especially with Clark and Hilda, it would have been maybe a bit distracting. The other one I quickly wanted to mention, also kind of music related actually, is I knew a couple brothers that were in a family band with their dad. There may have been another member who may or may not have been in their family. I'm not sure. The girlfriend or girlfriends helped with selling merch and just helped out. One did photography quite a bit, and I think the mother did help a little bit too in that way. Um, I thought being in a family band would be very cool, um, and that. Sorry, I just heard a noise and this notification I'm kind of watching for. Um, and there's the phone. Another noise. Okay. Oh, where is it? Where is it? Hello? Hello? Oh, I didn't place a call. I sent an email canceling a booking that I didn't make. We came in for a nail trim and yeah. So, Okay, I don't care too much about that since I've had lunch now. Whoops. Okay. Sorry about that. So yeah, basically, let me just get my water too, and then I'll just finish this up standing. And if it becomes more of then great. Otherwise, I just feel like the dog is likely to get a little noisy if I'm sitting down as opposed to when I'm standing. I don't know where to put that chew stick I gave him when he was really good getting his nails trimmed, so I came home and gave him one. Yeah, so this family band, they they did it for a few years. I went to a few of their gigs, maybe 3 or 4. I'm sure I must have been introduced them to the open mic I used to go to back then, in the area I lived in. I'm sure I must have. Not karaoke though, I don't think. But I mean, I talked a lot. I talked with them fairly often online, and basically, what helped get past, for whatever reason, I'm not even. I mean, I heard their mother's first name the other day, and it's not super unique, but kind of, and in a way that she might even have related to quite a bit. No, I think it was about family events. I can't remember. Like I say, this was earlier this morning, and I'm just coming to talk about it now because I've been a bit distracted and stuff. But basically, what helped with that one is, and the thing is we can. I feel, and I do, that experience where I can be jealous about somebody, but also happy for them. It's really the feelings of wanting similar but not having, or not currently having. Sometimes desperately wanting something. But I don't have a musical family. Well, I had a half brother who was in a famous Australian band for a while when he was really young, and then when he switched to music production, he kind of stopped playing guitar. Weird but true. And then I have a cousin who passed away a few years ago. The brother hasn't, although I'm not sure actually. Come to think of it, I'm kind of used to him being a little slow to get back to us, but he eventually does. However, I've been waiting probably a little over a month, or about a month. Nothing urgent. I can't remember what I last sent him, but yeah, and still waiting. And I do know his mother's name, and actually that first name also kind of unique, kind of not, also kind of has the same similar sound. And I could message her and see what's going on. But anyway, and then this cousin, he was in a band in Alberta for a while, or Edmonton, yeah, area. But he passed away fairly young. He was musical. Other than that, I don't have a musical family. So that was not, I mean, you can have friends that are like family and do it that way, as far as, but yeah, and there's something very briefly, but anyway, but yeah, so basically, then I remembered though, and I've been thinking a lot about BC, Vancouver area. I remembered that these two brothers, or at least one of them, moved to BC because it's too noisy. Door's open. Okay, all right, there we go. Sorry, we froze up for a moment there. So I want to make this a little bit longer, so that people, check and see did it stay frozen or think that it didn't because it's longer. And then there was a little message to talk briefly, and that was fine. But what was weird is that the pointer was still moving. Anywho, I don't believe that the whole family moved. Like when I talk about this family, I'm saying the brothers were in their 20s. They were a bit younger than me, and this was a number of years ago, so I would say they were in their 20s then. Certainly not right out of high school. I don't think they were in college or university. They were doing pretty well with the band and whatever else they did. But, and again, part of me feels, oh, it's really cool that they were all in a band together and they were doing so well and blah, blah, blah. Maybe I'll check them out again online or whatever. But I don't think that they probably keep up with their channel or anything anymore. Um, but like they were siblings, because I said a family band, so I guess you realize that. Not that anybody's here at the moment, but anyway, what helped with that one is that um, realizing that they probably aren't in that band anymore now that they moved. And not only that, but I do believe one of them, I don't know if the other one had a relationship, but I do believe one of them doesn't have the girlfriend anymore, partly because of the move. Um, so, you know, and here's the thing. They likely still have their family, but I don't know. People pass away in our lives. People have fallouts. There's a cat coming out of our backyard, and I just noticed climbing off of our fence. Anywho, I can't remember if I saw that. No, that was a different one with what I call it. Anywho, yeah. So they still have the family, but they don't have the band. And who knows? Maybe they're in one or both of them are in other bands now, or at least enjoying their life. But here's the thing. They still might miss that band. They may not be enjoying their life at this point in time. They may be struggling. You know. So the message within this, I feel, is like, even when we see people, or you could say, well, it might be a good example. I'm going to say famous people, but most of them don't step away from fame very quickly, unless, of course, they weren't famous for very long. Maybe, I don't know, but your average, people that you've met in your life that aren't necessarily famous, but where you live and where you know them, or just that they've done pretty well in their life, and it's easy to, especially when you're not doing as well, it's easy to look at them and say, oh, they've got it all, they've got it made, and it's not fair, and blah 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 blah. And I'm not judging you for having those feelings, but what I will say is that whether they do or whether they don't, as much as you think they do at that time, people's lives go through changes, and I mean, again, it's great and best, and we should all hope for others that their changes are positive and good for them. But whether they are or whether they aren't, doesn't mean that they don't miss what they had. And it may cause a lot of depression, actually, too. So, it doesn't mean that they still are doing those things. With this example, when I think about it, I'm lucky to remember that they did move away from where their parents lived to another province, like I say. Or maybe I didn't say, but I meant to. They did move away. That's a minor league that we had. That's why that's there, by the way. It just caught my eye. Maybe they still see them often, and when they do a little music with each other, possibly. Haven't came across the dads a bit, so but he's got to be, even though they're a little bit younger than me. Maybe their dad just seemed older. I think he was kind of balding, but I don't know. I would say that there might have been a bit of an age difference between the parents, maybe 10 years. That's not uncommon. And that the mother, at the time when I was late 20s, early 30s, and they were early 20s, was probably 50. I'm trying to do the math and think, is that most common. But anyway, and I think he probably was in his 60s. And that was a number of years ago. So he's actually possibly close to 80. And that's possible because, when I say that we were close in age, and I think about my grandparents, although neither of them are living anymore, My grandpa would have been 96, 97, and my grandmother would have been now in her mid 90s, but she only lived into her 80s. But anywho, or before she passed away. But yeah, so I don't know. I just thought of these examples, and I thought that I would come and say them here. At the moment, I can't think of any others, and I was out and about earlier today, so I'm just taking it easy. And yeah, can't think of anything else really to put into this at the moment. But you're welcome to comment, and when you do, we can talk about them, and anything else that you think of connecting to these topics. Okay, so yeah, thank you for watching. Since this is this video wrapping up, it'd be a good time to say, remember to like, subscribe if you desire. I mean, I'm not trying to toot my own bugle when I say that I'm a pretty diverse person. There's really a little bit of a lot of things on here. I won't say everything. And I don't think anybody that posts on YouTube can say they post a bit of everything. But I post a lot of different things. So, and I think that this is the kind of stuff that most anybody, this particular video, most anybody will relate to in some way or another. And I think with any video I post, there's always something that you can relate to, that you can like, and I hope that you do. Let me know. Till then, take care. Have a good rest of your day.